Okay, it looks like we are good to go here and up and running. Welcome to Nature Connected Coaching videos on YouTube. And my name is Michael Jospe. I'm the founder of Earth-Based Institute. And in this video, we're going to go into discussing different important nature connected coaching skills, but also how do you take your relationship to nature and bring that into a Zoom session with a client or a virtual session with a client. I think it's a really important conversation. And to be able to work with clients in that way just really opens up a lot of possibilities for us as coaches, so certainly as nature connected coaches. So I want to dig into that, and today we're going to talk about a few different concepts here, but really I think we're going to extend this over a few different videos. So this doesn't become a really long video, but instead just kind of get you started, get you excited to get out there. So I appreciate you tuning in and you're interested in nature connected coaching and to learn more about Earth-Based Institute and the programs that we have. Okay, so let's dig into this idea here of nature connected coaching, how that, or let's dig into the idea of nature connection and how that helps enhance your coaching and can be translated into a virtual coaching session. So, your relationship to nature is the foundation. It's the most important part of the whole thing. And, as a nature connected coach or as someone who has a strong relationship to nature, you know that just a few minutes of being outdoors, of observing, right? There's a shift of attention that you have when you go outside that's really important. You shift from just kind of like being out there to one that's more observant and connected to the environment. And when you shift into that state of observing and connecting and so forth, then what happens is that impacts your nervous system, right? That you start to feel calmer, more connected to yourself and so forth. And that has a direct impact on the way that you are showing up for your clients, even through Zoom, and they're on the other side of the world. You're still bringing that nature connection into the session. But that's just kind of obvious in a way. There's other ideas and thoughts that I have about how do you encourage nature connection with your client that I'll share with you in this video and in other videos. But, as you are practicing that observation and connection to nature, and that's the key, practice. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. Um, what we're, you know, what you are beginning to observe are the ebbs and the flows in nature. You're starting to notice how things subtly change on the landscape. So you're not necessarily just observing, big changes like the sun and the day and the seasons and so forth, but the subtle shifts and changes that happen throughout the day. We were just out in the wilderness working with a group of students last couple of weeks ago, and we were in this meadow of wildflowers, and every day, even several times a day, that meadow would change. It would change in colors, it would change in shape, activity, all sorts of things. And for the most part, most people wouldn't even realize those subtle changes. It's almost imperceptible how those changes those changes are happening, and you wouldn't notice it if you weren't paying attention in the way of someone who is nature connected. Okay, so how does that impact our clients? Well, your clients go through ebbs and flows. They go through changes within inside of their sessions. So when you are able to take that observation of nature in that way and bring that into your work with your clients, you're now looking, behind the words. You're looking deeper than just what's being said, but more about what's being shown to you and what you're feeling and what your client's feeling. You're noticing these minor changes. And what we're talking about here is this idea of tracking. And tracking is a huge part of nature connection, and it's a huge part of working with your clients. And, when we're tracking, let's say you're following animal tracks, through the forest, and that pattern that you're following changes, it inherently raises a really important question. Why, right? What happened? What caused that change? And that's the same thing that happens if you're putting yourself into this nature connected mindset while you're working with your clients. You're going to be noticing these subtle shifts, and you're going to ask the question of why. And sometimes that might even be more important than the narrative that they're telling you, is what's going on in the here and now with them. Okay, so your tracking and observation skills that you get from your practice in nature has a deep impact on your own personal relationship to nature, but in your own presence and your own sense of well-being, but it also directly impacts your clients. And so again, it's your connection to nature that always comes first. You've got to practice your connection to nature, and I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. But how do we take this and bring it into a Zoom session, a little bit beyond just the mindset of what I'm telling you about? So, what you need to do is you need to ask a little bit more of your client, okay? You need to be able to ask them to have access to nature or to be in an environment that they can interact with. Remember, it's more, nature connected coaching is more about interacting with the environment than it is about just being out on the land. If your client has access to nature and can do that in a session, that's fantastic. If not, like I'm here, I'm in this studio, and how would I interact with this environment? Okay, as a client, and if you were coaching me, how might you invite me to interact with the environment? So what that means is you have to ask a little bit more of your client. You might need to ask them to share with you their space that they're in, show it to you, get a tour of it. One of the things that I love to do with clients, and I don't do this in a session, I have them send it to me, a video of their yard or of the place that I'm going to be working with them in if it's virtual. So I have them send me a little video of their office space. I want to see what their desk look like. I want to see what books are on their shelves and kind of what's around them. And, do they have any symbols of nature? Or if I'm at their house, I'm going to say, show me around your place. Take me outside, show me your favorite tree in your yard, show me the place that your garden, or, your back porch, or the little chairs that you have set up back there. I want to see all of this stuff so I can almost put myself in their environment with them and encourage that connection. And sometimes in my sessions, a lot of times in my sessions, I'm going to ask my client to go out on the land with some intention, or I might ask them to do that beforehand, but I might say, hey, that tree that you showed me, this would be a great opportunity to go and have an interaction with nature, near that tree or something like that. So, the more that you can see of their environment, the more access that you're going to be able to have to help them relate and interact with their environment and encourage connection with nature and connection to their environment. So get a tour of their area. Okay. Now, when we're talking about your relationship to nature being the most important thing, that means you've got to have a practice. And I think one of the most important practices is the sit area practice. And this is something that you'll see in all the nature connected coaching or all the nature connected work that's out there, is this idea of a sit area, a place that you go to, a physical place that you go to. It's more than just a physical place. Actually, I'll talk about that in a minute, but a physical place that you go to on a regular basis for 10, 15, 20 minutes a day, where you are observing nature. This is so important. And all you have to do is just observe. You don't have to do all sorts of journaling and all sorts of stuff. You can do that for sure, but just observing is going to have a huge impact on your relationship to nature. Now, what I mean by it's more than just a place is that it's actually a choice to observe. For example, a few weeks ago, I was in Manhattan and I was in a hotel, and I was sitting in the lobby of the hotel wishing that I was in my sit area in my yard here in Colorado, but I wasn't. So I made the choice to be in a sit area, meaning I shifted my attention to observing my environment, okay? Observing the people and so forth. It has a huge impact. Doing that on a regular basis is really, really important, okay? So that is the key to your practice, is setting up that that sit area and using that on a regular basis. Okay, well, I hope this helps. I wanted to also tell you that we have our early registration for our January cohort has started. So there's a link below here for the application. If you'd like more information, just reach out about that. But we have got some great promotions happening right now for people who are ready to jump into our program. But anyways, I hope this video helps and gets you going, working with your clients outdoors and through Zoom. Have a great day. We'll see you next time where we'll dive into more details, more practices, and ways to work with your clients virtually.